like when Dhulia sir would teach us at IAMC, we would just interrupt and jump in and, get into a conversation with our teachers. And that's exactly what I want this format to be. So, just a little bit of introduction about myself. I'm sure some of you might have seen me during the orientation session. So my name is Nazia. I have about 15 years of experience in corporate and internal communications. I have studied from the Indian Institute of Mass Communications, and I currently work with Royal Enfield, and I worked with companies like Bank of America, United X, EY, Mercer, etc., Airtel, leading, communications for large companies, delivering their internal communication strategies. So, obviously a lot has changed from where I started, and we are living in a completely digital age. And to say the least, after COVID, I think everything has become online and digital. Otherwise, we would be meeting in a classroom, in normal days. So today I wanted to kind of, touch upon a very important aspect of organizational communications. But before that, let me just give you a brief overview of what internal communications is and what it does for the people who are joining us for the first time. Now, when I say internal communications or organizational communications, I have to basically tell you that, it is the messaging ecosystem of any organization. In any company, they would be employees, different set of employees, men, women, blue collared, white collared. There would be leadership, there would be people managers, there would be people who are doing the sales work, there are people who are at the back end contact centers, there are people who are, in the enabling functions like HR, learning and development, and all sorts of things. So what internal communication basically does is what a news reporter would do, for the external world. So it's like a journalist for the internal organization to ensure that the messaging is reported from the ground to the top leadership and vice versa. Messaging platforms are basically very concrete. We create the intranet, we create the internal social media for all the employees to connect with each other, to kind of exchange messaging. We also drive engagement in a lot of ways. We drive change management. If there is a change in leadership, there's a merger or acquisition that is happening in an organization, the internal communications department would ensure that the right messages at the right time through the right channel is reaching to everybody across the organizations. Now, we also do a lot of content writing, whether it be through emails or like, it would be through video communication, which precisely we're going to talk about today. We do a lot of other communications as well. So that is in a nutshell, and we work very closely with the senior leadership. When I started my career, I would treat myself just as a fancy English writer and a proof editor, right? But now I see myself, in a very changed world as a senior counsel for the leaders and advising them on what communication practices they should follow, how should they reach out to their people, how should they communicate with their teams or the company at large, right? So in a nutshell, that's what internal communication does. Now, if I had to get back to the topic of today, I'm going to talk to you about the importance of video communication in today's world from an organizational perspective. Now, 5 years back, I would still say that email is a very significant medium of internal communication. We send out mass emails, we do mass communication. And now as we kind of, evolve, there are many systems, many digital tools that have come to, in fact, measure our communication effort. In fact, just before this call, I was on a demo meeting with a tool called Populo. Now, what it does is like, when you send out a mass communication to 5,000 people in your company, the tool actually helps you disseminate that information and also give you some amount of measurement analytics, like, who opened the email, how many people read it, how many people went on to the microsite, who did not open it, who are those people, and segmentation and targeting and all those stuff, right? So increasingly, internal communication is not just English writing and sending out emails. It is much more. It is more analytic. It is more strategic function. And one of the important mediums, now I would call video as tactics, right? So one of the important mediums that we use to communicate to internal audiences is video communication, right? And video, as you know, is like, is a very effective medium when it comes to communicating any kind of messages, right? So, many organizations would have internal communications person or a team, but not always. So, in the absence of an internal communication person, it becomes a task for HR, right? And when HR does internal communication, it's not like, it's their core job. So obviously the quality kind of hampers. So if you're looking for a career in internal communications, you have to start from IC, you have to then, work your way up. But anyway, it is no secret that video is an increasingly popular tool for organizations and HR, of course, when they want to kind of do any people communication, right? So, and it is being used in a variety of efforts that organizations are making. Now, think of video interviews, like, think of, onboarding processes when a new employee comes and you want to give a showcase of how the organization is to that new person joining in. Video is a very important medium, right? And it's a very effective medium. If you have to send an email, a 40-pager document to somebody saying that, these are our policies, these are our processes, this is how we do things at a particular company, vis-a-vis giving them a 5 to 10 minutes video overview or an infographical video or a whiteboard video, as we call it, then imagine the kind of effect or, impact, I would say, it has, right? So using a video format in a work environment, it makes sense, not only from a job speaker's perspective, but also from an employer perspective, right? For example, if I'm advertising a job on LinkedIn and somebody looks at my company page and I give them just verbose content, like, 5-7 pages of information, or, loosely saying gyan, nobody is interested, right? But what about I put a video of, say, happy employees in a happy work environment and talking about the culture, talking about the opportunities that they get, maybe some senior leadership folks coming in and giving the messaging about the role and the opportunities that lie in an organization. It would have a far more, impactful, delivery of the message. So that's what video does in a work environment, right? And obviously we are all on the go. We are mobile, right? So nobody has a time to read long emails, nobody has a time to open PDF documents and learn about anything, and that's where video comes, video comes in handy. And if I had to throw some data at you, I mean, like, employees, it turns out that employees are likely to retain 95% of a message when it is delivered to them in the form of a video. Now, imagine the world of difference, right? And I have seen it through analytics that when we send out an email, very few people open it. And even fewer go on to, do a call to action, or probably are redirected to a different link. So today, when we speak about creating promotional videos or creating organizational videos, we are already aware of the fact that, it's a very, very, very important medium. It's very significant in communication, right? Whether it is internal or external, right? I create external videos from an employer branding perspective, but not so much from a PR perspective because of my role. My role is more inclined towards employees, right? So, if I had to do, and I do a lot of video communication internally, whether it be on core values, whether it be on new launches, whether it be on employee experience or any new announcement that we have to make. So I get my senior leaders inside a studio, and then, I put out a green screen and we shoot some videos, or just, some quirky videos when they are on the plant visit. We just tag along, and we do iPhone videos as well. You don't have to, like, make buy fancy equipment, and because it's all internal, it's in the family, unless and until it's going out in social media, it is a very low budget but very effective medium. Sometimes I've done impromptu videos on iPhone that we have shown on internal forums, and we use some graphics, and there's so many free tools that are available, right? You can just do some bit of editing and spend very little money on doing these things, but these make a long lasting impact. And it has a very high shelf life. People, even after 6 months of releasing a video, people will still go to the internet and, like, keep revisiting those memories. During COVID, I remember we got all the senior leaders together, and we did this very nice Tamil, English, Hindi medley songs, and we did this nice engagement video from leaders across the world. And I wish I could show that, but it's very internal to my organization. I couldn't show it to you, but you can use it for a variety of options: serious, non-serious, engagement, organizational, strategic planning, softer elements like culture, work life, those kind of things, right? So, obviously this is like a prelude to what IC does, how video is important. And now the third part of the talk is to, what are some of the interesting benefits of using video for internal communication? It provides you with a couple of, it is very practical, cost effective, and engaging, right? And, let's try and look at the different options to create your own fun communication videos, right? So we're going to talk about the role of video in internal communications, which is a great way to tell your staff and communicate to your staff about the changes across the organization. We can talk about event updates, we can talk about business success, company objectives, or even during a crisis. I think, in today's world where the employees are based at different locations, and obviously during COVID, when nobody could travel and everything came to a halt and we all went digital overnight, video played a very effective role. Our CEO released a video message right before the Janta curfew to everybody across the organization, touching upon the softer elements of family and well-being and employee welfare and care, and it had a profound impact on on how people felt connected to the organization, right? In times of distress in 2020, when COVID struck for the first time, we were absolutely not aware what's going to happen. We had never seen trains shut down. We had never seen, airplanes shut down and all those things. So this one message from the CEO had such an impact that everybody was on their toes from wherever locations they were working. And now imagine if he had just sent out an email to everybody stating that, okay, this has happened and I really care and this and that. But that is what video does. Video puts in a lot of emotion to your communication, right? Like I said, 95% of employees are likely to retain, the content of the message when they watch a video. 93% of internal communications believe that video is an important tool. I think that number would be far higher. I could say 100% of internal communicators believe.
यहाँ एक बात ऐड करूं, नाजिया जी, जो आप बात कर रही हैं वो बिल्कुल ठीक है, because of the fact that their communication studies tell you that so far the communication is concerned, the words convey only 13%.
Absolutely.
Rest of it is your body language. Now, the advantage with the video is that the person who is in the video, he is compensating for all that 83% or 87%. So you have 100% message across the audience. Whereas if it happens to be by speech or by word, it would just resonate around 13 to 15%. So this is a basic fundamental study. That's why Zoom has become so popular.
Absolutely. And when I say, and I say this from a
addition, that's all I have to do.
Thank you, Mr. Pushkar, for adding this. And when we talk about this as well, and that's a very valid point that he's raising, and that's exactly what I was saying. When we are developing videos for leadership as well, I think, obviously body language and all that, your emotion is conveyed better. But I think one thing that we all need to look at as communicators is to also see that, our intent is clearly delivered in the message. So message becomes a very important part when you're writing content for your video, when you're scripting the video, when you close your eyes and imagine the video as an employee, when the employee will see it, what's the impact? And we will touch upon those aspects as well. But yes, thank you for pitching it, Mr. Pushkar, and sharing that profound thought with us. And also there is data around this fact, right? That given a choice, I would want to watch a video rather than write an email or something like that. So there are multiple reasons why we should use video in our internal communications. Anyway, like I spoke about, it's more engaging than any other form of communication or many other forms of communication. It adds a human touch, it conveys the intent, it has emotion. It is more cost effective than ever before. I mean, I don't know how many of you have heard about tools like, go to Instagram and create a reel, see how easy it is, right? Go to Canva, which is like a free designing tool, and obviously they have methods of monetizing the platform. But look at Canva, everybody's a designer. I don't need to learn Photoshop to kind of create a poster. You can just do drag and drop, plug and play at Canva, and wham, there I am, right? So that's there. So video also appeals to different learning styles, right? More learning professionals, learning teams, development teams in an organization are using video for important training to people, which ideally or historically or conventionally has happened in classrooms. Like, when I went to Bank of America in 2007, my new hire induction program was done in a conference room. And it was like session after session after session after session I had to go through, and people were coming in and they were telling us about the company and the values and the brand and whatnot. But now when I walk into an organization, I see, like, a
If
learning
I give
management.
you an example here, if I can enrich your what thought, what you are saying, like for example, here in Australia, if
Mm-hmm,
I have observed in the housing industry. Say,
mm-hmm.
for example, you are inviting you people go to see the different housing location. Now, different companies, they presented 5 minutes video, instead
Yep,
of telling the whole story, nobody would understand, A Punjabi couple from Ludhiana wouldn't understand, terms and technicalities of it. So one video particular, it gives a message across, and the client comes smiling out, signing the, house deed.
absolutely.
So this is a kind of a new trend which you are really showing some light on, throwing some light on.
And you know what, Mr. Pushkar, and that's a very interesting thing. And for the benefit of the audience, let me tell you that YouTube is the new Google. If I have to search something, many people, and data suggests that people go to YouTube to search things, that to search, like, how to do things and all that. So YouTube is more used. So imagine the impact of video. So even when I go to Google and I say that how to probably say edit a video, right? And I would not go onto a web page and read. I would probably just click the video section, or probably just go to YouTube and see it. So that's how the world is changing. That is how the impact of video has been, and it continues to grow as we speak, right?
Can I just ask you? I'm sorry
Yeah,
to butt in like this.
no, absolutely not. And that's
Uh,
exactly how I want this session to be. So please feel
Thank
free.
you. I was just wondering, just thinking aloud, since body language, voice modulation, everything is important in terms of delivering your message via video.
Hmm.
Would you suggest it as a medium for somebody, say, involved in corporate or internal communications, who is not very good or not very articulate in terms of, how, of trying to give the message? Will it work for him or her? Because in case I'm not very articulate, my body language is not, I'm kind of sitting hunched over and things like that, or I'm not very
Right.
clear in terms of saying it. Would it work for somebody like somebody of that kind?
Okay, both yes and no,
Okay.
Aditya. And I can tell you from experience that, video is obviously an easy medium to do, but that doesn't take away from the fact that when you're doing like, fun videos, we can still take some leeway. But just imagine launching a new product and you're reaching
Exactly.
out to, like, internal and external customers, and somebody who's not articulate. I think a lot goes into preparation and briefing. So every time I do an org-wide video, which is more strategic in nature and involves a senior leader, I do a briefing session in terms of right from, like, what the person should wear, and if we have to do a prep session separately in person, we do that. And also, when you're not so articulate, you can always play around with video. I'll tell you how. For example, a person is say not very good at looking at the camera or speaking. There are different angles that you can try. I'm so sorry, the light just went off in my,
No problem.
1 second. I'll just quickly come back.
Sure.
Sorry, I was just switching on the lights.
No problem.
So I'm saying that you can. That's the beauty of video. You can play with different camera angles. You can take a side shot if the person is not very camera friendly or not very confident to look into the camera. You can insert graphics, or we call it B-roll. B-roll would ideally be shots of people moving around in the company or glimpses of the product, something that you can pick up from the stock repository and use it in your video to ensure that the person who is talking doesn't become larger than the message, right, of
Okay.
what he or she wants to deliver. You can use music, you can use typography, you can use infographics, you can have other kinds of graphics play around to take the attention, or probably make it very subtle. The underconfidence of that person who's kind of leading the video can be hidden. So that's
Okay.
how we work with many people who are not very confident. We take side angles. We usually put two cameras and take side angles, but it is also very important to ensure that you're choosing the right subject for the delivery of the right message. For example, if it's a fun video and the person is very introvert, it won't work. So that's how
Yeah.
kind of we really need
Mm.
to plan and see what is the messaging that we are trying to deliver, how are we trying to deliver it, who's going to see it, right?
In
Correct.
response to Aditya, if I can just make 2 points.
Sure.
Number one. Number one is that Aditya, please forsake this thought that you're not good in communication, because communication is an art and it is like a violin, and right now the way you have been communicating, I have all regards for that, and it is more than that. Second thing, please visit NLP, Neuro Lingua Programming. It's a program. There is a book also. There is a writer who wrote something in '96. NLP. So the basic principle of it is that if one person can do something, you can do that something, because it is just so. Please, you can be a great communicator. Please visit these two things, and
Thank you.
please take this away from you, that you are not. Everybody who is here is a great communicator. That's why they are here.
Thank you
No,
very
no, I
much.
don't think Aditya was actually referring to him. I think himself. I think what he wanted to make sure that, when you're dealing with different set of people in a video, how do you ensure that, that thing of underconfidence does not reflect, right, Aditya?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So moving on, we were talking about the benefits of video, of how we are saying that, it's a quicker way to convey complex messages. It saves employees time by eliminating unnecessary in-person meetings. Now, this is a very grave problem that kind of, surrounds large organizations of when people waste time in meetings, and, even if it is a one person communicating to a larger group and it is only a delivery of the message, there's no need to be for a meeting to be called, right? We could just do a 40-second video or a 1-minute video and it could be done and conveyed with. And with the new onset of new social media channels, you can always make it very interactive with people, put it up on your internal Yammer platforms or Slack and start a conversation around those things, right? So it should not be that difficult. Okay. It Video, again, in an organization like mine where there are manufacturing employees, production people on the assembly lines, with not with access to emails, I think we can just, what we usually do is, like, when we have a new product, we just create a fun video or a launch message video and WhatsApp it to the groups. And I think that's where the message hits the front line, and that's how they are conveyed of important messages in the organization without having to read emails, right? So it's there. It is video is very impactful, and you can actually quantify it because it's also taking away a large amount of costs that you would incur on training, or booking large conference halls and running your new hire induction programs, or running staff trainings. Most videos, explanatory videos, are there, and you can just create a whiteboard video. Now, whiteboard videos, many of you would have seen those hand sketching and these caricatures appearing on a white screen, and then important messages are being delivered in a very fun way, which kind of hooks on to the audience, and the attention span is greater than probably if you have to convey it through an infographic, or like a large content heavy email, right? So some examples that we can talk about: of how we can use internal videos in internal communications, CEO messages or CXO messages, staff onboarding, new hire induction programs. That's what I mean. Health and safety. In terms of COVID, I developed a repository of GIFs and video messages, talking to my audience on COVID safety, on protocols, on working in offices, on how to kind of ensure that all protocols are being followed. Training and education, we develop a lot of videos for our sales staff, our feet on ground who are there in the markets. We also do a lot of training videos for the dealerships, team and morale building in terms of crisis, like I just spoke about, of how the CEO kind of rose up to the cause. We recorded a small video message and everybody was up and running. Everybody was reassured that there is no retrenchment happening. We are not laying off people. Ours is a very strong company, and how we are kind of there for each other in these times of distress. Again, very basic company news updates, everything that's happening across the company. You don't need to send a newsletter. Just record a video, use some nice graphics and shoot it out to your audience, right? It has a far greater impact, right? So, videos depending on the categories. I can stop here if you guys have any questions. Okay.
Ma'am, there's not a question, but an addition kind of thing, like importance of video communication can be judged. Am I audible?
Yes, Ravikant, you are audible. I can very well hear you. Please go on.
Okay. Yeah, the importance of video communication can be judged. First it was OTT platforms, now the shorts. Shorts are going to be the new rage, I guess.
Yeah.
After the OTTs. So this is shorts itself is a video. So that's what I feel like. I want to share. That's why I.
Yes, thank you, Ravikant. And that's a very valid point. You now see how it is evolving, right? The entire world of video communication is evolving by day, right? So, we have now DIY is a new phenomenon, right? You don't have to actually go and do a training. You can just go to Instagram and check out a DIY video, or YouTube and do a DIY video. We did DIY videos for motorcycling repair, for people, riders, who go on these large rides like Himalayan Odyssey, or who are going to Rider Mania on their motorcycles. We did DIY videos where we teaching riders how to repair their motorcycles, how to clean their motorcycles, and that has been such a huge hit. There are explainer videos which showcase ideas and clarify business goals in a fun, engaging way, right? So those kind of things. We have internal webinars like the ones that we are having right now. It is happening over a video communication platform, right? We are recording the session for playback, and it's always available, right? And we store all these live webinars. We used to do something called Red Talks, which is Royal Enfield discussion and talks, very much on the lines of TED Talks, where we call in experts from the internal and external world and call and discuss some ideas, and we get some training imparted to our audience. So it is a great way to ensure that our team members are feeling valued, they're learning something new, and in a very fun, engaging, and through a platform which is very communicative and which is very interpersonal, right? I can see you all and I feel very connected. I mean, I would feel almost as good, if not exactly, if I was sitting in a classroom with you guys, right? In a world that we are operating, and obviously physical is better, but video has given us a lot of advantage, a lot of leeway in the way we do communication. Live streaming for that matter, right? It's we are live streaming. We live stream our town halls. This is a live session, and everybody is at the same time watching this. But we use Google Meets and we generate a live link. And anybody who's on the go or traveling or in a metro, they can see the live stream as to what the senior leadership has to convey during a town hall, without having to kind of mute, unmute, video on, video off. They can watch it very much like TV, right? Might not be as interactive, but yes, it does help to convey the message. Accessibility is increasing. People have access to all the key information that they need, right? So this is the world of video, and this is how video communication is absolutely transforming the world of internal communications. I would probably want to, okay, we also have to give some time for questions, but let me just tell you quick 5-6 ways of kind of, improving video, improving your internal communication videos, right? We say that, you know, from my experience and from all the research that has been done, people really watch larger content. So unless it is a movie, right, and that kind of with song and dance and drama, but keep your content under 4 minutes, depending on the kind of content you have to create. If it's an explainer video, you can keep it 4 minutes. Leadership messages, what my take has been, 45 seconds to 1 minute. And you have to do a very strong scripting of the video if you have to really land on the message. Like, otherwise you can just keep beating around the bush. The longer the video, the lesser the attention span. The next step is obviously improve your message retention by using storytelling to explain, the ideas in a compelling way. Like, imagine, like, you have a leader who's just sitting out and blurting out messages. It's not that effective. If you have a story to tell, how do your videos start? If you're doing a video on a riding experience, how about it starts with astral shots of Ladakh, and then there's a voiceover that comes and it talks about what riding is and what does it mean for the company. So think about what is the story that you can convey in a very compelling manner, and for your audience to stay with you through the message, right? So that is where the scripting and the preparation and the thinking and the ideation comes. Use animation for longer videos, as this can help boost engagement by many levels, right? Like I was saying, there are many free tools, but sometimes there are budgets for internal communication teams as well. If you want to use some part of your budget, hire a person, or a freelancer or an agency to do some amount of graphics and animation for your video. You can use that, and it takes away the dryness from your video. It takes away, like, the the monotony from your video. So use of animation. Then again, if the budget permits, hire a professional team that specializes in producing videos. Like, you can do all the internal stuff yourself, but if there's a new launch, if there is for example, core values of the company are changing, you don't want to play around with an iPhone, right? You want to get a professional agency. But yes, that doesn't take away from the fact that, you need to sit with a professional agency and brainstorm and ideate and see, because you know your company inside out, right? So the intent, you will have to decide, right? So, but it's always better to get professional help when there is so much at stake. Then again, refer to the video analytics for insights that will allow you to better understand your employees and improve your content accordingly. So wherever you're hosting that video, on your intranet, on YouTube, ensure that you're getting some analytics around that. Like, when you sit for your quarterly review or something, you should have some metrics on the paper, right? So many people watched my video. So many people were hooked on for the entire duration of the video. There were so many concurrent views during the live event. There were so many comments we received on the video. This, run a survey or say so many people liked my video. So, quickly to recap this entire thing, timing is very important. Keep your video short and concise. Use storytelling to convey your message, use of animation, work with a professional, video agency or team to deliver high quality videos. And then obviously always rely on analytics and keep analytics ready to kind of, give you some insights on what you need to do next. So this is basically, these are 5-6 points that you need to kind of, keep in mind. And obviously you just can't do a video in a jiffy. There are certain fun videos that you can do, but when you're doing video for organizational communication, it needs planning. It needs a lot of thinking and ideation in terms of landing your message right, and then probably measuring it later for your future events. So that's exactly what I had to talk about today. And I think we have 10 minutes left for the session to be over. And I would love to hear from all of you, your feedback, your questions, any clarifications that you would want.
I have a question.
Oh.
You just mentioned about which kind of video is meant for 4 minutes only, under 4 minutes.
See, there could be, like I spoke about the learning management system, right? For example, if there's a module that you need to complete on ethics and core values, or, that is an organizational mandate, that when you walk into a company, there's certain rules and ethics and code of conduct that you need to follow. There could be simulations, there could be a lot of other case studies involved in that video. So if it has to go 4 minutes long, you have to really think. If somebody comes to me and say that, I have to do a leadership message on this new announcement that I have to make, I can't make it 4 minutes long, right? Nobody has the time to read to listen to one person for 4 minutes. But yes, if it is a story that I have to convey, or probably a code of conduct journey that I have to kind of, showcase over videos, I can take it, like, if it's kind of a training session, I can take it up to 4 or 5 minutes. That should not be a challenge. But depending on what you have to deliver and what messages do you want to land with the audience.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ravikant. Yeah, Mukesh, you had a question.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
Good evening, Dulia sir. Good evening, Nazia.
Good evening.
Yeah, I am from your city, Ranchi, actually.
You're from
So,
Ranchi? Yes.
yeah. Both my daughters.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening,
Both my
ma'am.
daughters
Hi.
have seen you during KBC, and we were very much pleased to see you on the hot seat, and we were very much inspired. Both the daughters. So, ma'am,
Thank you.
I was I'm quite senior to you in IMC.
Okay.
I used to be taught by this Salini Shetty of Good Relations, and I have seen Dilip Cherin also talking about public image
Relations.
management. Yeah, image management and public relations both in India Habitat Center. So I was very much eager to also join some public relations agency, but Ogilvy PR was there, and I was in Ogilvy Creative for some time. And
Okay.
Madam, at that time when we were in IMC, we used to know about the tools, like internal tools like newsletters and all. Now you are talking about videos and all. So at that time, madam, even IMC had this internal some newsletter called Communicator.
Newsletter. Right.
Communicator. So I used to see some of the copies at that time. I don't know if they are now publishing or not. So what I want to know is how the things have changed.
Communicator is just a minute, Communicator and Sanchar Madhyam are being published. But when I took over as the editor of these two journals, instead of house journal, I converted them into research journals.
Okay,
these
yes, sir.
journals are no more house journals. They don't publish stories about the IMC.
Yeah.
They are pure research journals now. In fact, I did that transformation. I was the editor of the two.
Yeah, I even used to go to this pavement where they used to be published, sir, and I used to see them, and I had collected several copies at that time.
They are still being published. They are being published, but as research journals, not the house journal.
Okay.
When you were at IMC, which year?
I was in just you came, sir, and I came out. Means 2001, I was there.
Okay.
Yeah, Jetwani ma'am was there. And she used to encourage me a lot about studying some books from Kogan pages and all. So I used to be very much interested at that time, sir. So what I want to ask Nazia is that how the things have changed. Like when Rajiv Gandhi first used this Trickia Grey advertising agency of Ravi Gupta for his image management in that election. And after that, now the political parties are also using this image management. So how the things have changed? People like Shalini Shetty or Dilip Cherian. Dilip Cherian is still active, I think. So are they there or not? And
I'm so sorry. I usually don't follow the world of public relations so much. But yes, if you talk about organizational communication, like I told you that when I first started, we used to do these printed newsletters and those 8-fold newsletters and all that stuff. But I think everything has gone digital right now. There is an added amount of measurement that we are adding in our communication efforts, right? पहले अगर आप कम्युनिकेशन रिव्यू में बैठते तो आप कहते कि हमने 10 न्यूज़लेटर निकाले और लोगों ने बहुत वाहवाही की और सीईओ ने मुझे बोला कि बहुत अच्छा है एंड कीप अप द गुड वर्क या टाउन हॉल में एक अवार्ड मिल गया बट नाउ व्हेन वी सिट फॉर रिव्यूज वी हैव टू शो देम ग्राफ्स एंड चार्ट्स एंड मेट्रिक्स कि भाई इतने लोगों को हमने रीच आउट किया सो मेनी पीपल ओपन द न्यूज़लेटर सो मेनी पीपल रेटेड अस 5 out of 3 out of 5 stars and 80% of people say so everything has become very digitized and you have to quantify quantify everything, measure करना बहुत जरूरी है अब के डेट में.
But
Like
still, ma'am, one thing I would like to point out that from the rural point of view, like in the nook and corners of the country, where these kind of newsletters are reaching, like there are now IGNOU is the biggest university, and
right.
IGNOU used to send newsletters to all the students, and they used to be very handy. Like that, madam, Ministry of Renewable Energy, Ministry of Renewable Energy, they send one newsletter to remote places like this Akshay Urja, which is very handy, I think, for people who are not digitally equipped that much. So
You know,
that kind of
I think with digital India and everything, you'll be surprised to see how people are accessing digital in the rural areas as well. For example, now you can just scan a QR code and the newsletter will appear on your phone. You just have to open your camera and scan a QR code and the newsletter. And with added amount of emphasis on sustainability and social responsibility, more and more organizations are cutting down on their printing, printing expenses and printing inclinations. So, we as a company consciously, we never used to, print anything on non-recyclable paper, right? But now we have completely stopped all the physical newsletters because we want to kind of, showcase to the world that we are a very socially responsible citizen. With climate change and all those stuff coming into, the media attraction domain, I think companies are becoming very responsible. So printed newsletters, I would still say that PSUs would keep doing it, but if you go to any large corporate or IT giant, I don't think anyone is doing printed newsletters.
Being an old school person, and then from the point of view of the rural population, madam, I was talking about that
I completely understand that.
being used, and they're still using it. People are using it, and those kind of newsletters, Akshay Urja and this IGNOU newsletter, I myself use.
Okay. But let me tell you that you're not that old. You were 2001, I was 2004, so just 3 years. not that old for
Nazia
sure.
Jeethwani ma'am used to be very, very helpful to me, and she used to
after IMC, sir, I don't know if you know it or not, but after IMC 2005 to 6, I kind of assisted Jayashree ma'am as a research professional assistant. So I used to sit in the cabin where Anubhuti ma'am used to.
Yeah, she's still there.
Yeah, she came back, I think, after a sabbatical or something.
Now she's looking after the ad and PR wing, madam.
Yeah. So I worked very closely with Jayashree Jeethwani, and for 1 year, I was very close to her.
What happened that the written text, it tends to be important.
Sorry, sir, क्या बोल रहे हैं?
एक सवाल पूछूं यहाँ पर?
जी, पुष्कर जी।
ये जो आपने बातें बताई, ये काफी अच्छा लगा कि अगर ये एक सभी लोग इस चीजों को आजमा रहे हैं भारत में, because this all Abraham Maslow and human relation theory and all that, और जो organizational behavior, तो क्या ये कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर में पिछले दिनों ये जो ग्रेट रेजिग्नेशन की बात हुई थी, उसमें इस तरह की जो चेंजेस हैं जो पिछले दिनों, क्या आपको लगता है, क्योंकि कोविड के 2 प्रभाव हो सकते हैं, एक तो अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट एक तो डायरेक्ट बढ़ी ही है, दूसरा जैसे कि कुछ यहाँ कहा गया कि कुछ एडेप्टेबिलिटी हुई है, तो आपको क्या लगता है कि क्या एम्प्लॉयमेंट के बारे में जो बातें आ रही हैं, तो कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर में क्या सिर्फ धन ही बढ़ा है? क्योंकि धन के बारे में तो कुछ रिपोर्ट्स आई हैं, ऑक्सफैम की रिपोर्ट आई है और कुछ बाकी रिपोर्ट्स भी आई हैं, क्या रोजगार भी बढ़ा है? क्या
बिल्कुल बढ़ा। आई थिंक ग्रेट रेजिग्नेशन तो ऑब्वियसली है, बिकॉज आफ्टर कोविड अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल हैव रियलाइज्ड, जो पहले वो बात होती थी ना कि अब क्या है कि बहुत फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी भी बढ़ी है, राइट? वर्क फ्रॉम एनीवेयर का कॉन्सेप्ट आ गया है, जो पहले मोस्ट कंपनीज इन इंडिया वर्क फ्रॉम होम को भी एक्सेप्ट नहीं करती थी, दोस कंपनीज हैव आल्सो इवॉल्वड एंड से दैट वर्क फ्रॉम होम, बिकॉज आई थिंक आफ्टर कोविड और कुछ होना हो।
एक छोटा सा सवाल, एनेक्डोटली क्या आपको कहेंगे कि करीब 10%, 20% या 3% ऐसी कोई गिरावट आई है? क्योंकि उसके बहुत सारे इम्प्लीकेशंस है इकोनॉमी के ऊपर।
किस चीज में गिरावट आप
मतलब होम टू वर्क टू होम में वक्त, जैसे कि पहले 100 लोग करते थे, तो क्या उसमें कि 30% अभी बैक टू होम, मतलब कि घर से ही काम कर रहे हैं या कुछ?
बिल्कुल, आई थिंक ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस नहीं, डेटा तो मैं आपको नहीं दे पाऊंगी इसके ऊपर, but then I would still say that
just
from
an
the
opinion.
companies, from the companies that I have observed, I have also seen that companies are becoming more flexible, they're becoming more open, because after COVID and what everybody, each one of us went through, I think the value of life and how we realize of kind of not going into the rat race and spending more quality time with family, because people really realize कि काम कहीं से भी हो सकता है, unless and until you're a frontline worker or you are in the manufacturing कि आपको factory जाना ही है. Companies have really relaxed their rules. There are many companies, they have completely said that we are giving our people work from anywhere option permanently. There's so many, like Twitter closed their offices, so many offices across the world, and say that we're giving permanent work from home to people, right? So I think the concept of employee welfare, the concept of employee care has risen many folds, and companies have really realized the need that also they need to give their workers a flexibility. While after the wave of Omicron, we have all come back to offices. I'm talking to you from my office. Again, people have also realized that coming to offices is a great driver of human connection. When you meet your co-workers, when you chat over coffee, when you take breaks, when you do in-person meetings, they've also realized that is also important. So I think a good blend and a mixture of both things have started to occur in corporates.
यानी कहने का मतलब ये है कि just summing it up,
इम्पैक्ट था ना,
जी जी जी,
हर सेक्टर में डिफरेंट इम्पैक्ट था. जैसे मीडिया इंडस्ट्री में क्या हुआ कि एडवर्टाइजमेंट रेवेन्यू बहुत कम हो गया, तो काफी मीडिया इंडस्ट्री में लोगों की सैलरी जो है कम की गई, 50% की गई, 25% कम की गई. जो प्राइवेट यूनिवर्सिटी सिस्टम जैसे मुझे मालूम है अभी भी कि वहाँ काफी जो है सैलरी जो है 50% कर दी गई. तो अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट सेक्टर टू सेक्टर डिपेंड करता है. और अगर आप टोटल इकोनॉमी एज ए होल बात करें अगर, तो हमारे यहाँ मोर देन 60% जो मैन पावर है वो इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर में है. और इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर की तो कमर टूटी हुई है, मतलब वो लोग तो वर्चुअली दे आर ऑन द वर्ज ऑफ हंगर नाउ.
That's true. Sorry, पुष्कर जी, आप कुछ कह रहे थे?
मैं बस इतना कह रहा था कि यहाँ पर भी उसी तरह के प्रभाव हुए हैं और कुछ इम्प्लीकेशंस आए हैं. तो मैं इस बारे में क्यूरियस था कि क्या भाई देखिए, हम सिर्फ कोका कोला ही खाते हैं या पीते हैं, या वेफर्स ही पीते हैं, या जीन्स ही पहनते हैं, या जो कुछ नया वहाँ पर कैलिफोर्निया सिलिकॉन वैली में हो रहा है, या सिडनी में हो रहा है, या हेग में हो रहा है, जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल चेंजेस हो रही हैं वो हिंदुस्तान में भी हो रही हैं, क्योंकि ये देश जो हैं वो मल्टीनेशनल्स हैं ना आजकल. तो आपको के ऊपर भी अगर आप मल्टीनेशनल में काम ना भी करते हो, लेकिन उसकी आपकी संस्कृति का तो आपके ऊपर प्रभाव पड़ता है, आपकी कंपनी के ऊपर प्रभाव पड़ता है. तो आई थिंक दैट वाज माय पॉइंट एक्चुअली.
No, it's not a phenomena of the Western world completely. It is obviously touched the Indian corporate sector as well, private and public. Like, for example, किसी भी wave में अगर आप देखेंगे तो even the government offices were closed, right? They said work from home, जो कभी हम सोच नहीं सकते थे कि government offices में लोगों को कहा जाएगा you can work from home, because the traditional mindset of saying that work can only happen when you're at office location, that has dissolved.
और मजे की बात ये है कि I work from home, but I end up working more, and my wife also works from home, but she ends up working, normally she leaves at 5 dash, but today she was working from home and she worked up to 9 o'clock. So
absolutely,
again,
that's right.
Absolutely.
So you are based in Australia. Where in Australia?
Oh, I'm here in Melbourne. I'm a kind of retirement, making sense of the world, just doing nothing.
That's a good city to make sense. I mean, for the longest time, we have been planning to shift to Melbourne, and I think that's going to turn into a reality in some time.
Okay, you're always welcome. वो आप कभी भी किसी भी ये मेरी 10 साल में मैं जहाँ I can just tell you XYZ of it.
Thank you so much. I have a PR, so we're trying to make that move. I'll probably take your coordinates from sir.
Okay. Get in touch with me. I'll just tell you the geography, history, demography of Melbourne. Okay.
Very nice. All right. So, Saket, do we have any more questions, or we should just call it a day?
Not for now, ma'am.
All right. So if you have any questions, you can probably find me by the name of Nazia Nasim on LinkedIn. Just send me a message and I will connect back to you.
Okay, Nazia, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. I'll talk to you later. Thank you, everyone. Have a great
Thank you very
evening.
much, ma'am.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a
Thank you.
lot.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
ma'am.